Good morning, Gary. Little review video from yesterday. Let me just recap, hit on some talking points that we talked about yesterday. You know, that first session is typically the most confusing. I always sense more frustration out of a first lesson than any other, typically. Because we're breaking down bad, creating new feels, which is not always easy. We talked about, listen, we've got to move a mile to gain an inch. I think this video will display that a little bit. You probably left yesterday thinking, well, didn't gain much from that experience. And in many cases, people don't. But there's some good news in the videos that I looked deeper into last night. So let's just dive right into this. Obviously, here we are, one guy on the right, one guy on the left. I won't tell you which one is which. You'll discover that on your own. But as we transition to the top, so here we are in space. There's that where my phone screws me up. So here's our transition, okay? To me, this is the most important part of the golf swing. How do we transition from a backswing to our follow-through into the golf ball? As we go, we're going to notice some things. All of a sudden, the guy on the left is already to impact. I talked briefly, I didn't talk too much about this, but I talked briefly about time. Time's a very important factor. It took you a half second on the left to get to the golf ball. Half second. Let's continue on here. You've already made impact on the left. The guy on the right is at impact now. 3/4 of a second. So you gained 1/4 of a second in time. Now, why did that happen? It's because you allowed that lower body to start the transition. You couldn't feel it. As a matter of fact, you'll probably never feel it. But the clock doesn't lie there. Let's notice some other things. Since these aren't, the takeaway's perfectly synced up as we work through transition, because of a slower golf swing, they won't be synced up. I'll have to stop and show you some things. Here's our transition. We looked at this on video yesterday. The problem is where that club head is. Let's see if I can get a nice circle here. Where that club head is in space over here on the left, it's a straight line from that point on to the golf ball. No good, okay? We have to early extend or hang on to some angles when we do that, which we don't want to do. As we transition, let's look at the guy on the left all of a sudden. Notice where this club head is in space. Boom. Okay. Now all of a sudden, it's behind us. Considerable difference. We had to tell you, listen, feel something extreme. We had to take the golf ball away from you. We had to say more of it, more of it, more of it. It felt awful. And through the kind of this naked eye, the changes are somewhat subtle. To you, the feels were dramatic. So as we get into impact, I want to show you something. I'm going to clear. I'll bring this guy back. Notice the impact positions. Notice on the right, the conditions of your forearms, square shoulders, open hips. On the left, open shoulders, and your right forearm is higher than your left, okay? Two things happen. We hit pulls from there, which is typically 7-iron down, or we start to hit kind of weak cuts. That would be, 6-iron up, all the way to hybrids and fairway woods. So from an impact position, I told you yesterday, I'm not a swing guy and I'm an impact guy. I always want the guy on the right compared to the guy on the left. We gave you a couple different drills to work on, wall drills and such. Will those help? Time will tell. But I think this is really good, positive feedback because we already saw a change. There's unintended consequences that occurred without even talking about it. So great job. I'll probably see you later today. So keep up the good work. What I would say, 5 minutes a day, work on extreme moves. Really feel that club in transition, shallow out, and stay stuck behind you. We'll work on rotation moving forward. So keep up the good work.